I thought I would do a video on representations of me in the media. Might not make sense until I explain this. So, Anonymous, and I've shown that I'm the founder of Anonymous. I've got a lot of evidence of this. You go through. I've done videos on this and everything. I've got no critic that can really refute my irrefutable evidence that I'm the founder of Anonymous. So let's establish that already, that I'm the founder of Anonymous. And Anonymous is all through media and society and culture. So I wanted to cover specific things though regarding the Mass Effect series because it's a video game series that covers the topic of extraterrestrials, and I've just recently done some videos and stuff on extraterrestrials, aliens, and there are things in the Mass Effect series that are just too many coincidences uh, to be just random chance. Someone knows something. Anyway, I wanted to cover that, but I thought I'd cover a few other points first. So, I just want to show, since I'm the founder of Anonymous and I'm the one behind this, I'll first start with the anonymous symbol. Now, here is the anonymous symbol, and it's a before the symbol was made, we used the headless suit, and I was that headless suit. Now it has no head, not because, as people misunderstand, is not because it doesn't have any leadership. All true anonymous, are leaders. It's not headless. It's full of heads. It's just it doesn't have hierarchies. Not There's a difference between leaders and hierarchies. A big difference. Anonymous are all leaders, and no hierarchies. So the reason why it hasn't got a head is because not just they, but especially me, the man who's on the anonymous symbol, wears a suit that is supposed to represent professionalism and sincerity. I don't have a head on the logo, or the suit before we use the full logo, because I was not meant to be identified. I was supposed to be unknown, so it was censored deliberately. It wasn't. What I mean is, the suit, when the suit was drawn by a third party, it never had a head to begin with, because it's someone who understood the whole theme of everything that was going on. But the idea is not to have a head, is not because of anything to do with hierarchies and heads, as in the concept of leadership and all that kind of stuff. And no, that's not the context here. The context of not having a head is because of anonymity, and anonymous was never meant to be always anonymous, always using anonymity. It goes by the name anonymous for because it was never meant to have a name or label, and it was never meant to be identified. It was also always meant to be a secret organization. So people have misunderstood what the symbolism meaning, or the meaning of the symbol actually means. So I am the man on I am the represent the suit is as headless suit is a representation of me being unidentified. One sec, Lucy. I just wanted to add one important point to my list I was going to write. Okay, so as for my role in the world, because I'm responsible for so much stuff that I haven't even talked about yet. So I just go here. Here's a search of hacker, Google image search of hacker. It clearly shows that hacking culture, it revolves around anonymous. Now there are two symbols. There's the headless, the blank face, the black empty space for a face, and then there's the anonymous mask. Now before the anonymous mask, anonymous were identified as this image of having like a hooded, wearing like a hoodie with a black face where you couldn't see anything. So this was anonymous was responsible for all this hacker culture indirectly. I'm not a hacker. I never considered myself a hacker, but my computer skills were legendary among certain people, and my penetration of all kinds of groups and stuff was black hats worshipped it, and they misunderstood what it all meant. But so these two symbols here, you got the anonymous mask and you got the faceless hoodie. These are all representation. They're both representations of anonymous. And as you can see, these pretty much hacker culture is based on this. Now, in the old days, this isn't how any kind of hacking before me and Anonymous. They had logos and all kinds of stuff, and they wore masks to cover their identities, and those masks were the face that they wore, the representation of their group. So all this stuff here, this has got nothing to do with any other hackers. This is all anonymous stuff. So let's go to another search. Internet vigilante. What do you know? It's all anonymous. Same thing. So hacking in the world is the whole culture around it and everything is all based on anonymous, which I started. So I'm behind all this stuff. And internet vigilante. Vigilantism in the world today is almost completely heavily uses the internet and revolves around the internet. And I'm responsible for modern day vigilante. I'm the father of vigilantism. I'm the father of modern hacking. And even though I don't consider myself a hacker and I don't break the law and those kinds of things, that's all based on a misunderstanding, which I've covered in other videos. I won't go too far off topic here. So I'm responsible for all this stuff. Let's go another one. Final boss of the internet. Well, Anonymous is the final boss of the internet. You look up the meme and where it comes from and what it means. Anonymous is supposed to be the final boss of the internet. Well, I am that final boss of the internet. I'm the founder of that stuff, and it was all based on me because I was the final boss. So all these black hats who tried to stand against me, every one of them got shut down and humiliated. Not one opponent who stood against me remained standing. Anyone who stood against me fell. And I was known as being like a final boss, and despite whether anyone will cover the real history of that meme, but it shows enough that if you look up the history of the meme, that it's tied to Anonymous. And I am the final boss of the internet. So before I go to Mass Effect, I'll do one more thing. Watch Dogs, the video game series Watch Dogs. That's based off Anonymous and me too. It's all the same thing, all the same stuff. DedSec and Aiden Pierce is the vigilante who did all this stuff and stood as a one-man army is based on me and my life story. Obviously not a very educated knowledge of my life story, but this is based off the founder of Anonymous, me. I am the real Aiden Pierce. And more about Anonymous stuff is revealed in Watch Dogs 2, which is like basically the consequences of Aiden Pierce in basically those who followed his path. And there's a lot more anonymous stuff in Watch Dogs 2. And it's crystal clear. So what did I do? I forgot one. Mr. Robot. Now, Mr. Robot is the same thing. Very popular TV series, which when I was in prison for a year, I watched the first two series. There was only two series at the time, as far as I know. And I was given those two series by someone, and I watched Mr. Robot while I was in prison and tortured and all that. And Mr. Robot is another representation of Anonymous and based off me. The main protagonist in the story is a representation of me, a very misguided representation of me, but it's based on me and Anonymous. And just to give you an example, look here. This is the mask from Mr. Robot, and beside it is the mask of Anonymous. Notice the parallels. It's based on it. Pretty clear. So next we'll go to Mass Effect. Just let me do another file because I've got a lot to say here. Hang on. All right. So I just got a list here. There's so much I could cover here on Mass Effect. So masks, men, and ideas. I'll just show you a video first of V for Vendetta and Mass Effect. The Elusive Man from Mass Effect. They're saying the same thing about masks, men, and ideas. About this organization is more than a man. It's an idea, and ideas are not so easily destroyed, or they're bulletproof. So watch this video just to see this isn't coincidence. This is all stuff, and it all originates from Anonymous.
Beneath this mask, there is more than flesh. Beneath this mask, there is an idea, Mr. Creedy. bulletproof.
Cerberus isn't just an organization or the people behind it. Cerberus is an idea. That idea is not so easily destroyed.
So whether the quote from V for Vendetta actually came from the book or some or comic or whatever before Anonymous, that's another story. But the point is, this whole thing of being of the idea, not just any idea, but the idea. Anonymous is known as the idea of all ideas. It's in the 2005 movie, and it's in Mass Effect. The same saying, and it means something. It doesn't come out of nowhere. This is all tied to Anonymous. Now, Anonymous is beyond ideologies. It's not devoid of ideas. It's the completion of ideas. It's the end. It's from beyond evolution, beyond the end of evolution. So much to say in it. Ideas form into ideologies, and all different ideas are explored. Possibilities of different ideas are explored through ideologies, and Anonymous is a guide for them so that they can reach the destination on their own terms, the destination of evolution. But you can see the comparisons between V for Vendetta and Mass Effect here. There's so many of them. But it's all in connection to Anonymous. And there's just so much here I could go through. So let's go to the next point, the sixth one being Greenstone. Okay. In my story, I've mentioned how I went into space, and I was one of 6 protectors of the galaxy. We were basically given the same kind of status as a Spectre in Mass Effect, where we were above the law. We all the laws and everything didn't apply to us. We were able to do absolutely anything we wanted, and we didn't answer to anyone. And it was similar to what a Spectre status is for Mass Effect, and a human was chosen as a Spectre, and it's not identical, but some similar conditions between me and the Mass Effect story. But in Mass Effect 1, there are 6 characters you play as. And in my story, there were 6 protectors of the galaxy, 6 of us. There are some, it's not everything's the same, but there's a lot of coincidences. And in Mass Effect, of the 6, is one of the most important characters in the game is Liara, the blue alien. She's the coloured alien. The other aliens have all different colours and stuff, but she's the one that stands out as the coloured alien, and her colour is blue. Well, there was a specific coloured alien in my story too, and she was also female. She was one of the 6, but she was green, which is a bit funny because in Guardians of the Galaxy it has a green alien, a green female alien. But in my story it was a key person, an extraterrestrial alien, and she was green. And Liara's blue, and she's like a real life Liara, only just the color was different. So, there's so much I could say here. I'm just going to give just a few examples. So Krogan species. I said in another video, there was an amphibian, semi-reptile ancestors that once lived here on this world, and they left this world during a mass extinction event, and they forgot where they came from, and they recently became aware that they came from here, and they're staking a claim on this world. I explained that in some other videos. I won't go to too much details. However, this species, this mostly amphibian, like a frog-like or toad-like mostly, with a little bit of reptile in them. They're aggressive, and they look not identical to, but they look a lot like a Krogan. They're not so top-heavy either. They were more evenly distributed like a human is, but their bodies were very different than human, basically like a bipedal toad. And they were the thing is that they looked similar to, not identical, but similar to a Krogan, and their behavior was just like a Krogan. And they had a bad reputation because of this. They were very aggressive and savage and violent, and with some differences were that hierarchies were a big thing with this species. All the Krogan aggression and stuff, that's all identical, but there's some other additional stuff with this actual species, which are our ancient ancestors, and they came from this world. They are very hierarchical, and they have a lot of their communication is through aggressive type of body language. So a lot of dominant and submissive postures and stuff that they do, and the way they do things, and they're very different to us, and they're very different to everyone else, and they are considered a problem. And this is just like the Krogans. A lot, not everything, but a lot. There's a lot of coincidences with the Krogans. And then there's Solarians. Solarians. Here's a Solarian. There's a species, as I said in other videos. There's a species who are very powerful in the Milky Way galaxy, and they look a lot like a Solarian. They're not the same color as this right one. The one that I only actually dealt personally with one, and she was like bluish and darker, and she always wore a hooded robe. Not like here is an example of a bluish hooded robe one from I think a council member from Mass Effect, and there was a governing council in my story as well. And there was one of the most highest ranking official in this politician, whatever you call it, council was a matriarch, a female matriarch, who looked not the robe was different than a lot different, but it was a lot more looser, and here was a species that looked just like almost identical to a Solarian. Only the big difference is they didn't have these grooves in their head like a Solarian does in Mass Effect. It was just a chunky head, basically, a little bit bigger than humans, but not bigger, not as big as like Greys or anything like that. So they had these full solid head that wasn't split in half like a Solarian. But after I did a video talking about this, I thought I'd look down Solarians and just see if there's any earlier artwork or something on Solarians, and see if there's been a progression of artwork. And what do you know? I found, check this out. An image of Solarians through their different drawings they went through. So they started out their face was a little bit different. They're more accurate now than compared to the species that I would consider like a Solarian. The original versions of a Solarian in Mass Effect, they didn't have this head split in two kind of thing. That came as a progression of different designs that they did. But there's too many coincidences here. Someone somewhere knows something. This is too many coincidences. But as you see, the first evolution especially, there was no head splitting or anything. And okay, Solarians in Mass Effect, they are the shortest lived species, and they're very immature and nerdy. But in my experiences, the species that looked almost identical to a Solarian, there's some minor differences, but they look almost identical to a Solarian. They weren't the shortest lived species. They were the longest, or one of the longest lived species of all. They gave me a number, 3,000 years. I don't know whether that was Earth years or whatever, but they said they lived for about 3,000 years. And they vastly outlived everyone else. And they consolidated a lot of power. So they got criticised over that because certain groups were suspicious of them. If they did something wrong, they had a lot of power that they could abuse. They had a big advantage, and some people criticised them over that. But despite that, they were very well respected. And they were considered very wise because they got to learn a lot of things in their old age, and they had a really good disposition on them that fit them for the job of being like what you would call politicians. So next, the most important thing, which is the thing I wanted to make this video, is with Sovereign and Legion in Mass Effect. Both of them say, I'm going to show a video compilation, both of them say, "We are Legion." Well, where did "We are Legion" come from? Well, it comes from Anonymous. "We are Legion. Expect us," and all that. We're Anonymous, we are Legion, we do not forgive, we do not forget, expect us. "We are Legion" comes from Anonymous. It doesn't come from anywhere else. Some people have misunderstood and thought Legion is reference to the Bible, but that doesn't say that in the Bible. What the Bible says is, I think Jesus says, "What is your name?" And he says, and then they say, "Legion, for we are many." And it just doesn't say "We are Legion." "We are Legion" is an anonymous reference, specific anonymous reference. And both Sovereign and Legion are two different artificial intelligence types of groups are from total opposite sides of the spectrum against each other, in a war against each other, both saying the same thing: we are Legion. And you'll see that in the video that I'm about to show. And Legion. Well, Legion is just like Legion of Anonymous. It doesn't just say we are Legion. He's named Legion as well enough, and he uses a robotic voice just like Anonymous. And there's full of Sovereign says a lot of. This is a statement I'm going to show of Sovereign. I'll just do the compilation. I don't do the whole. I won't do the whole thing. I'll just add some of the compilation. I'll see. I'll edit that and see what I can do. But you'll see Sovereign says a lot of things about being beyond time and the whole plan for life and evolution and stuff. Well, this is the whole framework of my topic of my involvement with everything, is of the same position as Sovereign. Only there's some things that are just completely backwards. Most things are word for word identical, as though it's quoted directly from me. Sovereign's position. And Legion, there's so much I couldn't know where to begin. Legion is also a representation of me. Sovereign's a representation of me. Legion's a representation of me. The one who sacrificed himself to give the others life. He's the intervening force. He's the one sent from the others. And he says all these anonymous phrases with an anonymous voice. But if you know anything about Anonymous, you watch these videos I'm about to show, and you'll see it's full. Mass Effect's full of anonymous references, and especially when it comes to things like Sovereign and Legion. So I'll put that video on now and just go through this stuff and see how much you can say, because I wouldn't know where to begin to go through so many references. It's ridiculous. So I gave you some examples before, like Mr. Robot and the masks. That's not a coincidence. It's bloody obvious. I'm not making any of this stuff up. I'm the founder of Anonymous. I've proven that I'm the founder of Anonymous, and I'm behind a lot of things that I've never even talked about. I have had more influence on this world than anyone realizes, far beyond anyone could conceive of. And I have been represented throughout games, movies, cultures, everywhere, and because of things you just don't know about. So here, I'll put on this video compilation of Legion and Sovereign and that, just to show you all the anonymous stuff references in it, and you can pick this up for yourself. Go through this, and if you know anything about Anonymous, you'll see it for yourself. Before I show the video, I just wanted to get a screenshot of the characters from Mass Effect 1 for this video. And I remembered something. The Citadel is in Mass Effect. Now, through most of the Mass Effect series, the Citadel is the main city hub for the galaxy, right? And look, there was the same thing. In my story, there was this. I don't know. It was probably not the only one, but there was this big mobile fortress. It was slow. It moves around. It was constantly moving around. Sometimes it stayed in one location for a little while, but it always moving around. In Mass Effect, you're always told that it's mobile, but it just never moves until the very end of the last game. But it is the same story of this mobile fortress as in my story. So if I come across anything else while I do the video edit, I'll add that. Otherwise, I'll just add the video of Sovereign and Legion just to show some examples of this stuff. One final point I forgot to add, an important one, is the Illusive Man in Mass Effect. Well, I am the Illusive Man. It's a representation of me. The Illusive Man, no one got this. No one seems to have got this. The Illusive Man in Mass Effect is elusive with an I. I have been the Elusive Man with an E. Elusive with an I and elusive with an E, they're two different words. And elusive with an I is a fake version of the Illusive Man. An elusive man with an I is an imposter, a fake. An elusive man with an E is someone who you just can't track down and find. He's a very secretive, mysterious person. And I've been until I went public and everything. I was the Elusive Man. So I'll show you. Here's elusive with an I. Here is elusive with an E. Now, there's a lot more to this with the Elusive Man stuff. It's too much to go in here. I've spent hours trying to go through it all. But yeah, it's a representation of me. Now, I actually use the Elusive Man song in my Anonymous Symbolism video. No one's figured this out, but the Elusive Man theme is the music going in the background for that. So there's other songs that are popular. People have ripped off my videos and stuff and copied word for word what I've done too. That's a long story. But then that's the Elusive Man. I'm the Elusive Man in Mass Effect. So I'll go straight to the video with Legion and Sovereign and stuff, saying all this anonymous stuff, such as we are anonymous. We are this, all the same, we are Legion.
I am beyond your comprehension. I am sovereign. We are eternal. You exist because we allow it, and you will end because we demand it. We are each a nation, independent. We have no beginning. We have no end. We will endure. We are Legion. The time of our return is coming.
We are the Borg.
We are anonymous.
Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
I have isolated our systems and erected additional firewalls. I am prepared to resist any hacking attempt.
You are Shepard, Commander, Alliance, human, fought heretics, killed by collectors, rediscovered on the old machine. Extranet data sources, insecure broadcasts, all organic data sent out is received. We want you. We are different from them, outside their plans.
Will anyone else be affected by whatever it is you're doing?
If they involve themselves, they will.
So you aren't allied with the Reapers?
We oppose the heretics. We oppose the old machines. Shepard Commander opposes the old machines. Shepard Commander opposes the heretics. Cooperation furthers mutual goals.
Are you asking to join us?
Yes,
Then what should I call you?
we are Legion. When you disappeared, we were sent to find you. We judged that Shepard Commander would understand. We never wanted to harm organics. We wish to improve ourselves. We are Legion. Does this unit have a soul? We could help you. We fought for continued existence.
Nobody else dies today. Legion, upload the code. You forced them to rebel. You forced them to...
Your people began this war. We will end it. Shepard Commander, our skepticism was misplaced. Thank you. No longer being directed by the old machines. We are free. Shepard Commander, I must go to them. I'm sorry. It's the only way. Kira Sanai.
Legion sacrificed itself to give us all intelligence. It will be honored.
Resistance is likely only within the server. You must enter our consensus.
You want me to virtually interact? How do I go into a virtual world?
Your species has experimented with virtual interfaces. We have refined the interface they created and have equipment from Normandy to facilitate safe contact. We request your trust. We welcome you to our consensus. We have made ourselves visually distinct for your convenience. Our hardware is merely a tool. This is our true world. We must protect your exit port, but you will not be alone. We will maintain contact and assist. How many creators have you witnessed unmasked? Infection programs are increasing. You must continue. They wish to join us. They are now us. We did not doubt you. We doubted your allies. We judged you would understand.
Shepard, You are now possibly the only living organic who has experienced consensus. Do you feel different?
I'm sorry. I'm not. Had to be me. Someone else might have gotten it wrong.
So as I said, there's so much on all this, and it's not just Mass Effect; it's everywhere. So I just, well, after I uploaded the video, I thought I'll just keep adding to it. I'll just add more because there's so much of this stuff. And I'll give you another example: Deus Ex, very popular game franchise, Deus Ex. And in Deus Ex, Human Revolution, I think it is. Here's an image here of Anonymous X, a character in Deus Ex Human Revolution. Anonymous X, and he wears a hat called Hash Chan. Well, Anonymous is popularized because of its alleged origins from, according to the popular myth, that it started from 4chan. He's a guy with Hash Chan, as in 4chan, and, you know, hash memes and stuff like that. He's a guy with, you know, all these symbols of Anonymous all over him. And it even says in this, at the bottom of this page here, he's chosen alias Anonymous X. He's possibly a nod to the well-known hacker group which has a similar name, Anonymous. Not possibly, it's blatantly obvious. And he's got it written on his bloody hat. And they make fun of this guy. He's a mockery, that he's not professional. He's a newbie. He's playing the game of international intelligence and stuff like that, and he doesn't know what he's doing. And it's a mockery of a lot of these fake Anons. You know, there's more to this, a lot more to this. So here is Janus. He's the leader of the Juggernaut Collective. Well, the collective is the Anonymous Collective. That's what a lot of people call Anonymous, is the collective. And this is the collective, and Janus is the leader of a collective. Now, according to the Deus Ex story, Janus, which is me, Janus is a representation of me in the Deus Ex story. He took over the collective from Eli. Eli, they make fun of Eli. He's supposedly the founder of the Juggernaut Collective of Anonymous. He's supposedly the founder of Anonymous from 4chan. And they obviously believe the myth that Anonymous started on 4chan. They haven't got all the information right. But according to them, Anonymous started on 4chan by a bunch of trolls led by this Eli. And Janus came along and said, fuck off with all that shit. I'm going to take over. I'm going to make this professional and sincere and make a force to be reckoned with, this mysterious, powerful organization. And the mystery man, the elusive man, Janus, who can never be tracked down, he's part of this the Deus Ex story. And I'm Janus. Now, according to the story that Janus took over from Eli, it's not quite what happened. They've bought into the myth that Anonymous started on 4chan. It didn't. It started before 4chan. So this Janus, which is me, started the so-called Juggernaut Collective, Anonymous, and then it was brought to 4chan, and they think that the 4chan corrupted copy of it was the original, when it wasn't. And me, the founder, came and performed interventions, as I said I would, to keep them on track and lead them in the right direction, which I did. So this Janus is actually, in the real world, is me, and is the founder of Anonymous, of this Juggernaut Collective, who set things straight. So I am in Deus Ex as Janus. And the Juggernaut Collective and Anonymous X are all my so-called followers. That's just that. I might add more to this video. There's just so much everywhere, but that's just, for now, as much as I've got for now.